I was sitting at the kitchen table reviewing a client's portfolio when Mom walked in with that look. The one that meant she'd already decided something and was just informing me as a courtesy. Emma, we need to talk about your living situation. I didn't look up from my laptop. 29 years of experience told me nothing good ever followed that phrase. Your sister is moving back home. She and Brad broke up, and she needs somewhere to stay while she gets back on her feet. I took a sip of my coffee. There are 3 bedrooms upstairs. She can have the guest room. The guest room doesn't have the ensuite bathroom. You know Jessica needs her own bathroom. She has a whole skincare routine, and sharing just won't work for her. Of course. Jessica's skincare routine. The same Jessica who had her own bathroom since she was 16 while I shared with our brother until I moved out at 18. The same Jessica who was now 26 and moving home for the 3rd time after another failed relationship. So she can have my bathroom. Primera Saeed calmly. I'll use the hall bath. Mom sighed like I was being deliberately difficult. Emma, that's not going to work. Your room has the best natural light, the walk-in closet, the sitting area. Jessica is going through a really difficult time right now. She needs a comfortable space to heal. I finally looked up, and I don't need a comfortable space. You're 31 years old. You have a job. Jessica needs our support right now. Jessica is 26, with a master's degree. She has a job too. Teaching yoga barely counts. You know she can't afford her own place on that income. I closed my laptop slowly. So what exactly are you asking me to do? We need you to move out by Friday. That gives you 4 days to find somewhere. The kitchen was very quiet. Dad walked in, saw the scene, and immediately tried to walk back out. Tom, don't you dare leave, Mom snapped. We talked about this. You agreed. Dad looked at me with something that might have been apologetic if he'd had a spine. Emma, honey, it's just that Jessica really needs the room. You've been living here for 3 years, rent-free. You've had a good run. Rent-free. The word hung in the air like smoke. Rent-free, I repeated softly. Well, you haven't been paying us anything, Mom said. We've let you stay here out of the goodness of our hearts while you built up your business. But Jessica needs us now, and family comes first. I nodded slowly, picked up my coffee mug, took another sip. You're right, I said. Family does come first. Mom looked surprised. She'd clearly been expecting a fight. So, you'll be out by Friday. I'll be out by tomorrow. Tomorrow? Dad looked alarmed. Emma, you don't have to rush. Friday is fine. No, tomorrow is better. I wouldn't want to inconvenience Jessica. I stood up, tucked my laptop under my arm, and walked out of the kitchen. Beihin. Meh. I heard Mom say, well, that was easier than I expected. Upstairs in my room, the room with the natural light and the walk-in closet, and the sitting area, I sat on my bed and opened my laptop. Then I opened my banking app. 5 years ago, I'd moved back home after grad school. I was starting my financial planning business, and Mom had said, live here until you get on your feet. We're happy to help. What they did know what I'd never told them was that I'd been on my feet within 6 months. My business had taken off faster than I'd expected. Within a year, I was making 6 figures. Within 2 years, I was pulling in $240,000 annually. I'd stayed in my childhood home not because I needed to, but because I'd made a promise to myself. I was going to help my parents. Quietly. Without them knowing, because every time I'd tried to help them openly, Mom had refused. We don't need your money, Emma. We're fine. But they weren't fine. I'd seen the mortgage statements left on the counter, the property tax bills, the credit card statements with minimum payments circled in red. So I'd done it quietly. I pulled up the spreadsheet I'd been maintaining for 5 years. Every payment, dated and categorized. Mortgage payment, $2,847 month. Paid by me, for 60 months. Total, $170,820. Property tax, $8,400. Year, paid by me for 5 years. Total, $42,000. Homeowners insurance, $2,200. Year. Paid by me for 5 years. Total, $11,000. Utilities: electric, gas, water, average $420 month. Paid by me for 60 months. Total, $25,200. Home repairs, roof, HVAC, plumbing, $31,500 over 5 years. Dad's car payment, $580 month. Paid by me for 36 months. Total ang $20,880 ang gran total $300, $1,400, $300 and $1,400. Rent free. I took a screenshot of the spreadsheet. Then I opened my bank's website and started canceling automatic payments. Mortgage payment to First National Bank, canceled. Property tax payment to county, canceled. Insurance payment to State Farm, canceled. Electric company, canceled. Gas company, canceled. Water district, canceled. Dad's car payment, canceled. Each cancellation sent a confirmation email. I saved them all in a folder labeled family. Then I called my friend Marcus, who owned rental properties. Marcus, I need a furnished short-term rental. Something available immediately. Price isn't an issue. Emma, what's wrong? Family emergency. Can you help? I've got a 2-bedroom condo in Harborview. Tenant just moved out last week. It's furnished, utilities included. $2,800 a month. I'll take it. Can I move in tomorrow? Tomorrow. Yeah, sure. I'll have the keys ready by noon. Thank you. I hung up and started packing. I'd filled 4 suitcases by the time Jessica arrived home at 8 p.m. She breezed past my door, saw the luggage, and poked her head in. Oh my God, you're actually leaving. Mom texted that you agreed to move out, but I figured you'd, negotiate, or something. I folded another shirt. No need to negotiate. You need the room. I'm leaving. Jessica leaned against the doorframe. She was wearing Lululemon head to toe. Her hair was freshly highlighted. Her nails were professionally done. I really appreciate this, Em. The breakup with Brad was just so traumatic. I need a space where I can really focus on my healing journey. You know? How long will your healing journey take? She shrugged. However long it takes. Mom says I can stay as long as I need. Isn't that amazing? I'm so lucky to have parents who support me unconditionally. I zipped up a suitcase. Very lucky. And this room is perfect. The light is going to be amazing for my Instagram content. I'm thinking of pivoting my yoga brand to more of a wellness lifestyle thing. I'll need really good lighting for that. I'm sure you'll do great. You're being really cool about this. I was worried you'd be mad. I looked at her, my baby sister, 26 years old, beautiful, charming, completely oblivious to the fact that other people had problems, needs, or feelings that might matter as much as hers. I'm not mad, I said honestly. I'm just done. Done with what? Nothing. Don't worry about it. Enjoy the room. She smiled and left to examine her new closet space. The next morning, I loaded my car in 3 trips. Mom was at her book club. Dad was at work. Jessica was still asleep at 10 a.m. I left the house key on the kitchen counter with a note, moved out as requested. Good luck with everything. Emma. Then I drove to Harborview and moved into my new condo. 2 bedrooms, floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the marina, a kitchen with granite counters and stainless appliances. I was unpacking when my phone rang. Marcus. Emma, I forgot to ask. How long do you need the place? Let's start with 6 months. 6 months? I thought you said this was temporary. It is. I'm buying a house, but I need time to find the right one. Your buy-in. Congratulations. What's your budget? I'm pre-approved for $850,000, looking for something in Westwood or Riverside Heights. Damn. Business must be good. Business is very good. We hung up, and I went back to unpacking. My phone stayed silent. Mom was probably still at book club. She wouldn't notice the missing payments until the bills started arriving. That would take about a week. 6 days later, my phone rang at 7 a.m. Mom. I let it go to voicemail. She called again. Voicemail. Third time, I answered. Hi, Mom, Emma. Her voice was strained. We need to talk. Can you come over? I'm actually busy today. What's up? I need to talk to you in person. It's important. I have client meetings all day. Can it wait until the weekend? No. It can't wait. She sounded close to tears. Emma, please. I sighed. I can do 6 p.m. I'll have an hour. Thank you. Please, Emma. It's urgent. I pulled up to the house at exactly 6 p.m. Jessica's car was in the driveway. So was Dad's. Through the window, I could see all three of them in the living room. An intervention. How predictable. I walked in without knocking. They all turned to look at me. Mom's eyes were red. Dad looked gray. Jessica looked confused and slightly annoyed at being dragged into whatever this was. Emma, Mom started. Thank you for coming. We need to talk about something serious. I sat down in the armchair. Okay. We received some troubling notices this week. The mortgage company called. They said our payment was missed. The property tax office sent a notice. The insurance company, the utilities. Her voice cracked. Everything was paid automatically. And suddenly nothing is being paid. The bank accounts they were drawing from are showing insufficient funds. I waited. Emma, someone has been paying our bills? 4 years. From accounts we didn't set up. And now those payments have stopped. And we're getting collection calls. And we don't understand what's happening. Dad cleared his throat. The mortgage company said the payments have been coming from an account in your name. Emma, have you been? Have you been paying our mortgage? The room went completely silent. For how long? Dad's voice was barely a whisper. 5 years. Mom made a sound like she'd been punched. 5 years. The mortgage, property taxes, insurance, utilities, and your car payment, Dad. 5 years. Jessica sat up straight. Wait, what? You've been paying for everything. Not everything. You paid for your own cell phone. Jessica, congratulations. Emma? Mom said slowly. Why would you do that? We never asked you to, because you were drowning. I could see it, the late payment notice, the minimum payments on the credit cards, the way you stopped going out to dinner or taking vacations. You were about to lose this house. Dad's face crumpled. We didn't want you to know. We didn't want the kids to worry. So I fixed it. Quietly. I set up automatic payments from my business accounts. You thought they were coming from some old account you'd forgotten about or a mortgage assistance program or something? I didn't correct you. But why didn't you tell us? Mom demanded. Because every time I've tried to help you, you've refused. You said you didn't need my money. You said you were fine. So I helped anyway, and I didn't tell you, because I knew you'd make me stop. Jessica was staring at me like I'd grown a second head. You paid $2,847 a month for 5 years. That's single quotes, double quotes, $170,820 plus $42,000 in property taxes, $11,000 in insurance, $25,200 in utilities, $31,500 in repairs, and $20,880 for Dad's car. Grand total, $301,400. The silence was deafening. You've been living here rent-free for 3 years, I continued, looking at Mom. Those were your words. Rent-free. While I paid every single bill that kept a roof over your head. Mom's face went white. Emma, I didn't know. I know you didn't know. That's why it's so funny. This isn't funny. Mom's voice rose. Emma, you can't just stop paying these bills. We'll lose the house. The bank said we're already in default. We have 30 days to bring the mortgage current, or they'll start foreclosure proceedings. Then I suggest you bring it current. Dad stood up. Emma, please. We made a mistake. We shouldn't have asked you to move out. You can come back. You can have your room back. I don't want my room back. Jessica needs it for her healing journey. Remember? For her Instagram lighting? Jessica flushed. Emma, I didn't know you were paying for everything. If I'd known, you would have what? You would have said no to the room. You would have gotten your own apartment. You would have contributed to the household expenses. She looked down. Here's what's going to happen, I said calmly. I'm not paying your bills anymore. Any of them. You're all adults. You can figure out your own finances. But we can't afford this house without your help. Mom was crying now. Emma, please, we'll pay you back. We'll figure something out. Just, please don't let them take our home. I pulled out my phone and opened the spreadsheet. You owe me $301,400. If we set up a payment plan at, say, $2,000 a month, you'd have it paid off in roughly 12.5 years, plus interest. Dad sat down heavily. $2,000 a month. Emma, we don't have $2,000 a month. We barely have $1,000 after all our other expenses. Then I suggest you cut some expenses. What expenses? Mom shrieked. We don't go anywhere. We don't do anything. We're barely surviving as it is. I looked pointedly at Jessica. You have a 26-year-old daughter living here rent-free teaching yoga. That's an expense you could cut. Jessica's mouth fell open. Mom, you're not seriously going to charge me rent? Or, I continued, you could sell the house. It's worth about $680,000 in today's market. Your remaining mortgage balance is around $340,000. That leaves you $340,000 in equity. You could buy something smaller, more affordable. A condo, maybe? This is our home, Mom whispered. We've lived here for 33 years. You and Jessica grew up here. And now, it's too expensive for you to maintain. That's not my fault, and it's not my responsibility to fix. But you're our daughter, Dad said. Family helps. Family. I stood up. You're right. Family does help family. I helped you for 5 years. I gave you over $300,000. I asked for nothing in return, and the second your other daughter needed something, you kicked me out without a second thought, without even knowing that I was the only thing keeping you afloat. We didn't know, Mom cried. But you didn't ask either. You just assumed I was living here rent-free, taking advantage of your generosity. It never occurred to you that maybe, just maybe, I was the one being generous. I walked toward the door. Emma, wait. Dad followed me. Please. What do we do? How do we fix this premature-turned bike? All three of them were standing there. My parents looked terrified. Jessica looked like she was finally understanding that her actions had consequences. You have a few options, I said. 1. Figure out how to make the mortgage payments yourselves. Cut expenses. Get second jobs. Whatever it takes. 2. Sell the house and downsize to something you can actually afford. 3. Ask Jessica to contribute. She's an adult living in your home. She should be paying rent and utilities at minimum. But I can't afford. Jessica started. Then get a second job. Get a job that pays more than yoga instruction. Figure it out. You're 26. You should have figured it out years ago. Mom was sobbing now. Dad had his arm around her. Jessica looked furious. This is cruel, Jessica said. You're being deliberately cruel because I got your room. No, I said quietly. I'm being exactly as generous as you were to me, which is not at all. I left behind me. I heard Mom wailing and Dad trying to calm her down. I heard Jessica shouting something about me being selfish. I got in my car and drove back to my condo, the one with the marina view and the granite counters and the peace and quiet. Over the next 2 weeks, I received 47 calls from my family. I answered 3 of them. Call 1. From Dad. Emma, we talked to the bank. They'll work with us if we can make a payment. Can you loan us the money just this once? No. Call 2. From Mom. Emma, please. We're your parents. You can't just abandon us like this. Me. I'm not abandoning you. I'm letting you handle your own responsibilities. Like adults. Call 3. From Jessica. This is all your fault. Mom is having panic attacks. Dad can't sleep. You're destroying this family over a stupid room. Me. I'm not destroying anything. I'm just not paying for everything anymore. There's a difference. I stopped answering after that. But I watched. I had a friend at First National Bank who kept me updated on the mortgage situation. Mom and Dad had managed to scrape together enough for one payment. They were trying to negotiate a loan modification. Jessica had moved out. She was living with a friend, splitting rent on a studio apartment in the not great part of town. She'd gotten a second job bartending 3 nights a week. Dad had taken on weekend shifts at his company. Mom had started selling her handmade crafts on Etsy. They were figuring it out. 4 weeks after I moved out, I got an email from Mom. Not a call, an email. Emma, I don't know if you'll read this. You haven't been answering our calls. Your father and I have spent the last month trying to figure out how we got here. How we let our finances get so bad. How we didn't notice you were paying for everything. How we treated you. We're ashamed. We took you for granted. We assumed you were living here because you needed us. When the truth was, we needed you. We needed you so desperately that we'd have lost everything without you, and we didn't even know it. And when Jessica needed something, we didn't think twice about asking you to leave. We didn't consider your feelings. We didn't consider what you might have been contributing. We just assumed, I'm sorry. Your father is sorry. We don't deserve your help. We don't deserve your forgiveness, but we want you to know that we see it now. We see what you did for us. We see how wrong we were. We're going to sell the house. We found a townhome in Meadowbrook, 2 bedrooms, much smaller, but we can afford the payments ourselves. We close in 60 days. Jessica is working 2 jobs now. She's living in her own apartment. She's angry with us for not standing up for her, but I think she needed this wake-up call. We all did. I don't expect you to respond to this. I just wanted you to know that we're handling it. You don't need to worry about us anymore, and you don't need to feel responsible for fixing what we broke. We broke it. We'll fix it. I love you. I'm sorry I didn't show it better. Mom, I read the email 3 times. Then I closed my laptop and stared out at the marina. The thing about boundaries is that they feel cruel when you first set them. They feel like punishment. Like abandonment. But they're not. They're just the truth, made visible. The truth was that I'd been holding up my entire family for 5 years. The truth was that they'd never noticed. The truth was that they'd taken me for granted so completely that they literally kicked me out of my own home, the home I'd been paying for without a second thought. Setting boundaries didn't create that problem. It just revealed it. 6 weeks after I moved out, I found a house, 4 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms, home office, quarter-acre lot in Riverside Heights. My payment was $3,400 a month. I could afford it, easily. The day I closed, I drove past my parents' old house. There was a sold sign in the yard. The new owners were a young couple with 2 kids. I watched them unload boxers from a moving truck, laughing and excited. I hoped they'd be happy there. I hoped they'd fill it with better memories than we had. 3 months after I moved out, Jessica called. I almost didn't answer, but something made me pick up. Emma, it's Jess. Hi. I wanted to apologize. For everything. For taking your room. For not understanding what you'd been doing for our family. For calling you selfish. I waited. I've been living on my own for 3 months now, working 2 jobs, paying my own bills, and it's really, really hard. I don't know how you made it look so easy. I didn't make it look easy. You just weren't paying attention. She was quiet. Then, you're right. I wasn't paying attention. I was so focused on my own problems, my own needs, that I didn't see anyone else's. I didn't see what you were doing, what you were sacrificing. I wasn't sacrificing anything. I was helping because I wanted to, because I could. But we took advantage of that. Mom and Dad and me. We took everything you gave and never even said thank you. No, you didn't. Emma, I'm sorry. I'm really, genuinely sorry. I was spoiled and selfish, and I hurt you, and I don't know if you can forgive me, but I wanted you to know that I get it now. I get what you did for us. And I'm grateful, even if I'm 3 months too late. I pulled over to the side of the road. I didn't trust myself to drive during this conversation. Thank you for saying that. Do you think, double quotes, she hesitated, do you think we could maybe have coffee sometime? I'd like to see your new place. Mom said you bought a house. I did. That's amazing. I'm really happy for you. And the surprising thing was, she sounded like she meant it. Coffee would be good, I said. How about Saturday? Saturday's perfect. I'm off from both jobs. We hung up, and I sat in my parked car for a long time, thinking. The thing about family is that sometimes they need to lose you to appreciate you. Sometimes they need to fall on their faces to understand what you were protecting them from. Sometimes the kindest thing you can do is stop catching them when they fall. Saturday came. Jessica showed up at my new house with lattes from the good coffee place downtown. She walked through my home with wide eyes, taking in the vaulted ceilings, the hardwood floors, the chef's kitchen. Emma, this place is incredible. Thanks. We sat on the back deck overlooking the garden. The previous owners had planted roses. They were blooming. How's the townhome? I asked. It's good. Smaller, obviously, but Mom and Dad seem happier, less stressed. Dad's talking about retiring in a few years, now that they do you and have the big mortgage payment. That's good. And I'm figuring things out. The bartending job actually pays pretty well with tips. I'm thinking about getting certified in personal training. It pays better than yoga. That's a good plan. Jessica wrapped her hands around her latte. I never understood why you became a financial planner. It seemed so boring compared to what I wanted to do. But now, I get it. You wanted control over your own life. You wanted security. You saw what money problems did to Mom and Dad, and you decided to never let that happen to you. Something like that. I'm 26. I should have figured this out years ago. Instead, I've been living like a teenager, depending on Mom and Dad, depending on you, and not even realizing it. You're figuring it out now. That's what matters. She looked at me. Really looked at me. Are we okay? You and me? I thought about it. About 31 years of being the responsible one. The one who cleaned up messes. The one who sacrificed so Jessica could have the better room, the newer clothes, the easier path. But I also thought about her sitting here, drinking coffee, admitting she'd been wrong. Working 2 jobs. Paying her own bills. Growing up, we're getting there, I said. She smiled. It was small and sad, but genuine. I'll take it. That night, I got a text from Dad. Jessica said she visited you today. Thank you for seeing her. We don't deserve your time or forgiveness, but we're grateful for it anyway. We're having a small dinner next Sunday. Just us. If you want to come, you're welcome. No pressure. We understand if you're not ready. We love you. We're sorry we didn't show it better when it mattered. I stared at the text for a long time. Then I typed, I'll be there. What can I bring? His response came immediately. Host yourself. That's more than enough. Sunday dinner was awkward. The townhome was 1/3 of the size of the old house. The table sat for instead of 8. We ate Mom's pot roast and made careful small talk. But something was different. Dad asked about my business. Actually listened to the answer. Mom asked about my house. Wanted to know what colors I'd painted the walls, what furniture I'd bought, whether I was happy there. Jessica talked about her personal training certification program and her terrible bartending customers. And she was funny and self-deprecating and real. We didn't talk about the money. We did untalk about the mortgage payments, or the foreclosure scare, or the 5 years of secret generosity. But it hung in the air. The knowledge of it, the weight of it. After dinner, Mom walked me to my car. Thank you for coming. Thanks for inviting me. Emma, I need you to know something. I'm not asking you to pay for anything anymore. Not ever. We're managing. It's tight. But we're managing. And even if we weren't, I wouldn't ask. That's not your responsibility. It never should have been. I know. But I also need you to know that what you did, paying for everything for 5 years, that was one of the most loving things anyone has ever done for us. And we're going to spend the rest of our lives being worthy of that love. We're going to be better. For you. For Jessica. For ourselves. I hugged her. She smelled like pot roast and Chanel No. 5. The same way she'd smelled my entire childhood. You're already better, Mom. She pulled back, crying. I love you. I'm so proud of you. I should have said that more. I should have said it every day. You can say it now. I love you. I'm proud of you. You're the strongest person I know. I drove home with tears streaming down my face. But they weren't sad tears. They were relief. Relief that I'd finally set the boundaries I should have set years ago. Relief that my family was finally learning to stand on their own. Relief that I didn't have to carry them anymore. Relief that maybe, just maybe, we were going to be okay. A year later, I was sitting in my home office when an email came through from Dad. Emma, it's been 1 year since we sold the house. 1 year since we started figuring out our own finances. 1 year since you stopped paying our bills and we started paying our own way. I wanted to give you an update. We paid off the credit cards. All of them. Your mother's Etsy shop is doing well enough that she is contributing $800 a month to our household income. I took on extra shifts and got a raise. We have an emergency fund now. Jessica got her personal training certification. She's working at a gym making $45,000 a year plus training clients on the side. She has her own apartment and her own savings account. She's doing it herself. She's proud of herself. We're proud of her. And we owe it all to you. Not the money. The lesson. You taught us that we were capable of more than we thought. You taught us that enabling is in love. You taught us that real family means letting people struggle sometimes because that's how they grow. We're not asking for anything. We just wanted you to know that we're okay. Better than okay. And we wanted to say thank you. Thank you for loving us enough to let us fall. Thank you for being strong enough to set boundaries when we couldn't. Thank you for being the person we should have been all along. We love you. Oh, Dad, I printed the email and put it in a frame on my desk. Then I pulled up my spreadsheet. The one with 5 years of payments? $301,400? I'd never asked them to pay it back. I'd never expected them to. But that wasn't the point. The point was that I'd learned something crucial about love and family and boundaries. Sometimes the most loving thing you can do is stop helping. Sometimes the greatest gift is letting people save themselves. And sometimes the person who needs to be saved isn't your family. It's you. I'd spent 5 years paying their bills, and 3 years living in their house, and 31 years being the responsible one who fixed everything. And then I'd spent one morning canceling automatic payments, and finally, choosing myself. That morning, the morning, I said, understood and walked away was the morning I stopped living rent-free in my parents' house, and started living free in my own life.